Let's talk about parenthetical citations. So, parenthetical citations are citations that come within the text to indicate the source of quote or some paraphrased or summarized information that you got from some source. So, it follows the quote or the paraphrase or the summary that you got from any of your secondary sources. And as the name indicates, it's going to be enclosed in parentheses. That's why they're called parenthetical citations. There are two rules of thumb that there are really no exceptions for in creating parenthetical citations. One is that in your parenthetical citation, you're always going to use whatever comes first in the works cited entry. So for these sources, it would be the last name of the author: Benson, Lee, Murray, Ritchie. In this case, because you don't have an author, you start with the title. You're still going to use the title of the article because that's what comes first in the works cited citation. And we'll do some examples of that in just a second. The second rule of thumb that there's really no exception for is that a works cited, or parenthetical citation rather, is always followed by a period. Meaning there's always a period after the closed parentheses, and that is because a parenthetical citation should always come at the end of a sentence, even if the quote doesn't go all the way to the end of the sentence. So again, two rules of thumb. One, you use whatever information comes first in the works cited entry inside of your parenthetical citation. And two, the parenthetical citation is always followed by a period. So let's use this Murray article. No, let's do the Benson article as an example. It's a print book, so it's going to have page numbers. This is an anthology, so we've cited the chapter, the title of the book, the editor, because only this chapter is written by Benson. So let's say that we pulled a quote from this Benson article and we need to create a parenthetical citation. It will use Benson and then the page number. So we're going to imagine that our quote came from page 100 somewhere in this article. So let's go up here and we have this quote. This is just an example. And the quote ends here, not at the end of the sentence. So you might be tempted to put the citation right here, but that's not correct. It has to be before the period. So Benson 100, close parentheses. There's always a period after it. Okay? Let's take another example. Let's do this Murray article. It's from a database, not a print book. So unlike these first two that are print books with page numbers, it doesn't need a page number. So let's imagine that this information is paraphrased information from the article by, what's her name? Jennifer Murray. So at the end of the sentence, inside of the period, we're going to type Murray in parentheses. We don't need a page number because it's a database source without page numbers. Okay. The same thing would be true of this Ritchie article. No page numbers are necessary because it is a database source rather. So anything that came from a book that has page numbers, we give those page numbers. So let's go back to our Benson one. Here it is. And notice it's just very simple. The last name of the author, the page number. There's no comma, there's no P, nothing like that. Last name, space, page number. All right, let's talk about this case. Here we have a web article that didn't list the author, which means that our works cited entry would end up starting with the title of the article. So remember, our first rule of thumb for parenthetical citations is whatever comes first in the citation goes in the parenthetical citation. So in this case, it's going to be the article title. So if we were to use that source at the end of the sentence where we were done using it, we would type the article title, type it correctly. I think it was called Shakespeare's Theater. No page numbers since this is a web source. Just like that, and it's always going to be followed by a period. Okay. This one has an editor. This book doesn't have any author listed, but just like any other print source, we're going to use what comes first. which is the last name of this editor, so Telgen, and then the page number. So let's imagine we used a quote from page 241. At the end of our sentence, we would open parentheses, type our last name, page number, close the parentheses, and always follow it with a period because it should be at the end of the sentence. How about this case? So this is a web article with a very long title. See, the title goes all the way from here to here. It didn't have an author listed. So just like this Shakespeare's Theater citation, we would want to use or have to use the title of the article in the parenthetical citations. But you don't need to put this whole long title inside of your parenthetical citation. So you can take somewhere between 3 and 5 words, whatever seems to make sense for your title, and use just that first part of the title in the parenthetical citations. So in this case, I would take this, The Road to the American Dream, and I'm just going to copy it with Command C. And wherever I use that information, I would just do this. And that parenthetical citation is doing exactly what it should do. When your reader, in this case it would be your teacher, is reading through your article and they see a parenthetical citation, you want to have what comes first so that when they go to your works cited, they can look alphabetically for the article or the citation that starts with The Road to the American Dream, which would lead them right here. Or they may want to go alphabetically to the citation that starts with Murray to find out where you found that information. So they would come here and alphabetically go to Murray. Okay. If you have a special case or something you don't feel like fits one of these situations, just make sure to ask. But again, the rules of thumb, whatever comes first in the works cited citation goes in the parenthetical citation, and a parenthetical citation is always at the end of a sentence followed by a period.